And we're also sending this into Facebook as well. So I'm going to hit that go live button for Facebook, and then we should be set to go. Let me do a quick refresh and see if that changes. I think my Facebook sat idle for a little too long, so we will try it again. I had it working, and now we want it working again, so bear with me. And in just a few minutes, I'll also be turning off my camera just so I can get through this presentation. And it looks like we're launching and preparing. I think Facebook is actually changing their video platform. So it's given us a little bit of a headache, but we're going to see if we have the ability to do this. So it looks like we're live. I'm going to minimize that and we're good to go. So hi, everyone. My name is Katie Gleboff, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to stop my video, and I'll be back on at the end. So welcome to the final webinar of our 4-part series. These special classes were designed to help you adjust to the unique and interesting market challenges that we are all now facing. Again, my name is Katie Gleboff, and I have with me today my fellow RPR trainers, Joe Teeter and Valerie Rivers. So first off, on behalf of everyone at RPR, we want to thank you for your time today, and we hope you are staying well. NAR has been working hard for you in a number of ways, and we will be sharing a variety of resources with you throughout this webinar series. Our goal in this series is to provide you with a few tips and tricks to help you maintain and build your business as we all adjust to this so-called new normal. And at a time when typical spring market may be taking off, now it's taking on a different flavor than we're all accustomed to seeing. Across the country, your clients and customers, prospective buyers and sellers are looking to you for guidance. They're unsure of many things these days, and your market expertise is as important as ever. We started with maintaining and building your sphere of influence in this 4-part series. And that covered social media and online communication tools as well. Last week, we reviewed how to help your buyers virtually. So we want to go ahead and get started with part 4, conducting virtual listing presentations. What we're going to cover real quick is just some tips on how to obtain maybe a potential virtual walkthrough, how to research the property, how to price the property, and then how to create that seller's report. So sorry about the typo on that page, but the virtual walkthrough. If you are able to do a FaceTime call or a Skype call with the sellers, that can allow you to get video walkthrough of the property, have the seller point out features, whether they're good features or they're pointing out potential needed updates. Have them explain those updates and what the cost of those updates were. So have them give you that visual depth of a room, have them open and close those soft hinge cabinets, have them test that garage door, open and close all the windows, all of the normal things that you would do on a walkthrough. And you know, don't take advantage of communication tools. Maybe have a pre-printed guide on what you need to get in that virtual walkthrough so the seller's a little bit prepared for that call for when you guys get started. But we're going to get started with RPR right now. So here we are at our homepage. We get that call from that have-to seller. They're leaving the area. They found a new job opportunity. It's a little more secure than what they have in their local area. So they're ready to list their home, and the home is at 185 North Joshua Tree Lane for all you YouTube fans out there in Gilbert, Arizona. So we're just going to type in that property address and we're going to click on that magnifying glass. Because we're on a condensed time limit, we're also going to have a slide at the end with a link to our blog where you can get in-depth information on all of the info I'm going to share with you in this really little small time span. So don't feel like you have to rush to write everything down. Just sit back, relax, and watch the presentation. So I have a lot of information already completed on this property profile. So we have that RVM value, which is that public record data and MLS data to determine that market value. We have this view detail link, which is going to give you your subject property, and then that sampling of the properties that were used to determine that property's value. Don't forget, if you want to use this in your pricing discussion, you do have the ability to print this page out. It's also going to include that RVM range because this value is if the property is in average condition. And then you're going to get that confidence score, which is the degree that our multiple models agree with each other. So because all of our models yielded similar estimates, we are giving this property a 5-star confidence score, which means they're projecting that this property will sell within 10% of this value 90% of the time. I'm going to close out of that. We're going to come through and I want to point out some resource facts that you have when you're prepping for that listing presentation. You get those basic facts from public records. You will have that street view and that overhead view. Most likely you'll always have that overhead view. That street view may be blocked by a wall. It may not appear because of its gated community. But if we scroll down below that image, you're going to see you have the ability to add property notes. You have the ability to upload property photos. When you're coming into RPR and you're uploading that property photo, you also have the ability to edit this image and use this image for the cover page of your report so you can still set yourself apart in that presentation. If you want to create a real simple low, high on those sellers' proceeds to determine that net cash to seller, you have your seller's proceeds calculator. You have the ability to validate the homeowner facts. You can validate the home facts. So if you find out that this is a 4-bedroom property, you can enter that fact. You can also enter additional facts if you want to record that information in RPR. You can roll through and take a look at that property information, legal description, mortgage information, school information, a summary of taxes are all going to be on this main view. If you want to dive in and take a look at previous MLS history, you have MLS history where you can get a snapshot of previous photos to look for when potential improvements were done to the property. You can also jump into our map. So from our mapping tools, remember, you can get that visual using those heat maps to see that variation of data values, whether you're looking for things like 12-month change in estimated value, if you're looking for concentration of distressed properties, average sale price, average list price, one of my favorites, the list price versus sales price. So take a look at these heat maps. These heat maps can be included in that data supported reality check of our seller's report, which you're going to use for your listing presentation. Now, because of our time constraint, we don't have a lot of time to talk about the charts and the history. But remember, take a look at those charts. See how this property lines up compared to other homes in the zip code. Take a look at how the inventory is within the zip code. You can come into this history tab to help determine seller motivation. You have those prior sales transactions, whether it's public or listing. So you can look for things like transfer of property ownership, tax assessment information, mortgage information to help determine the seller's equity in the property. But what's most important are those pricing tools. So don't forget, you can talk about the property's condition and how it may affect the RVM value. So you can refine this value. You have those 4 basic ways to refine the value. Adjusting the basic facts of the property due to errors and omissions from public record. You can, with the help of the owner, add improvements to the property. Maybe they added solar panels. Maybe they did a kitchen remodel that was mid-range. These improvements will depreciate over time. You can pick the improvement from the list that you have here, and you can also add improvements on the fly by entering other and putting your description in. You can refine the value based on needed improvements. Maybe they needed a new garage door and motor. So you have your ABC garage door company come out and give you an estimate on what the cost of the garage door was. And something that we're all going to know now more than ever, those market conditions. So how is your market doing? COVID-19 is going to have an effect on local inventory. You're going to have a tougher market than you would have before, right? So you can use these sliders. Are you guys at a low inventory where it's tougher for certain homes to find that ideal buyer? You can talk about the relative condition of the exterior of the property, the interior of the property, lot size, view, privacy. Using these slider scales, you can make an adjustment to that overall RVM value so it has a truer representation to what's going on in the market. When you adjust that RVM value, it's going to be right here on your home page. But what you ultimately want to do is be able to back that value up with that comparison analysis. It's a simple 4-step process where you go through and confirm those home facts. If you confirm the home facts for the purpose of the RVM, if you added property details, all of that information is going to carry through to your CMA. If you want to add additional fields to your CMA, you can add additional fields as well. Once you confirm your home facts, you're going to search the local area for comps. You're going to add a known property or search an area for several properties. You'll set your sold date, apply your search criteria, and look for similar in nature properties that have recently sold close to your subject property. You can select comps that you want to use by selecting on the properties within the map view. You can also go to your list view and select your properties from your list view, sorting by address, proximity, days on market, sold date, just to name a few. Once you identify your comparable properties, you're updating your evaluation, you're closing out of your search, and now you're going to navigate through each comparable property, making adjustments compared to the subject property. Now there's some aesthetics that you can do. You can move the comparable properties into a specific order. You can enlarge the photos, but then you're just using the slider scale to rate your comp if it's better or worse than your subject property. This information appears with a black font if it's a positive adjustment, a red font if it's a negative adjustment. All adjustments are averaged together to give you the adjusted result as well as that price per square foot. Once you get those adjustments in, if you want to add any notes to share with the homeowner, add those notes. Then you update your evaluation and close. You can set your pricing. You can leave your original price field there, or you can nullify these fields and enter your own range if you want to be able to sit down in that virtual conference with that homeowner and talk about what a good list price for their property would be. You're going to create that seller's report, that data supported reality check. Remember, before you create that report, look at managing those custom pages. This allows you to add additional pages into RPR to include in your report. PDF, single page, no longer than 10 megs. You can add up to 5 pages. Once you have it imported, you can view that page. And you also have the ability to put these at the beginning or at the end of any report that you create. Once you have them imported into RPR, when you create your report, selecting more details is going to allow you to pick and choose those elements that you want to include in your seller's report. So you're going to go through all of these fields and pick and choose what you want to include in your report for your homeowner. Don't forget, you can limit things like market activity. You can also suppress information like RVM values. You're going to personalize the report with the seller's name. And then you can add a little instruction. Maybe you want to come in here and add the Zoom meeting number for your seller. Maybe you want to tell them to have paperwork prepared if they have that paperwork on those improvements. Okay. Maybe supply the garage door company info. Okay, so you can add that in there. And then you can email it direct to them, separating multiple email addresses by comma. So let me just throw an email address in here. Okay. And then you're going to go ahead and generate your report, and you'll get a pop-up when it's ready. Then all you need to do when the report's been generated, open up the report. Depending on how you like the look and the feel of the report, if you're doing a screen, and let me go ahead and do this, a lot of the times when you're touching base with that seller, you can have your camera open, they can have their camera open, so you can kind of look at each other as you're going through these topics. You can scroll through the report, they'll have a copy of the report next to them, and you can talk about how COVID-19 is affecting real estate, what they need to be aware of when it comes to showings and open houses, how you plan on communicating. And then you can sit back and talk about the property details, why you refine the value, confirming those home facts. So you can go page by page, face to face with your client in that virtual appointment. Don't feel bad, or don't think it's silly to tell them to have a notepad and a cup of coffee and try to get an idea of how long it's going to take to complete the listing presentation meeting. Feel free to tell them, hey, I'm going to make these adjustments on this report and I'm going to send it right back to you. But you can clearly see all of this information on that data supported reality check, which is the seller's report within RPR. And at that point, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and hand it over to Joe.
Thank you, Katie. Good job. Hopefully everybody got a lot out of that today. Some of the video meeting platforms that you could use for a listing appointment would be like Zoom, like we're currently using, like Katie just showed you, where you could turn your camera on and pull up the report and go through the report page by page. And that'd be a good, a good way to do it. There's also WebEx, which is also free. There's also Skype, FaceTime that's free. Microsoft Teams is free. And I had another agent this morning on an earlier webinar tell me about Marco Polo, which is the second time that someone has brought up Marco Polo. And it works very similar. It does have a free portion of that as well, where you can do video calls and texting and that kind of stuff. So you might want to check that out as well. The gal that made that comment this morning on the webinar said it was really kind of a cool app, and that her clients all liked it. So that's something you might want to check out. But anyway, these are some of the platforms that we have discovered that would work for a listing appointment. If you haven't already been on the ner.realtor website, I do encourage you to go and check out some of the resources that you have available. And if you type in ner.realtor/coronavirus, there are things that you can put in the search bar up at the top, like transaction guidance, or put in virtual showings and virtual tour. If you do that virtual showing and virtual tour, there is a webinar or a video that comes up by Mabel Guzman. It's about 2 minutes and 38 seconds long. Excellent. This is how she does her virtual tours, and she'll walk you through step by step on how to do that. There's also great information on emerging technology as well as commercial transaction issues. So go into that ner.realtor website and check out some of those resources that you have at your fingertips. All right, in review, so today we kind of talked about conducting a virtual listing presentation using these platforms to meet with your clients online and do a virtual tour of walking through the house if that's available in the area, and then also going through the listing paperwork and the seller's report virtually. The previous ones that we did was maintaining and building your sphere of influence. That was the first one we did. The second one, we talked about the social media and online communication tools. And then today, of course, or last week, it was working with buyers virtually. So this has kind of been our series for April. I hope everybody has enjoyed these presentations this week. What we'd like you to do is to create a seller's report and then maybe get on with a friend or another agent and kind of practice how you would do a virtual presentation before you actually have to do that. It's a great way to practice. If you practice with another agent or with a family member, that way you're going to feel comfortable when the opportunity actually comes and you have to do a virtual presentation. So again, you can access RPR at rpr.com or through the MLS. Download the RPR mobile. You can do a CMA on the mobile app, and then if you want to share that, you can do that from the mobile app. Don't forget about our blog. Our blog is where you're going to find all of our resources, all of our on-demand webinars that you can go back in and watch. I know a lot of you had mentioned that we were going way too fast, but this is only a 20-minute Tuesday webinar. And so we have a lot of other webinars that you can go in and watch right now that will go through in depth on how to do a CMA and create a listing report. So check that out. And don't forget that if you need help, we're there 24/7 for you. Just contact us at that number, 877-977-7576. They're there 24/7. And then also don't forget that we do have all the links at the bottom of every page on the desktop, as well as that little scholar cap that's right up next to your little gear in the upper right-hand corner, where whatever page you're on, you can click on that little scholar cap and it will give you a list of resources available. All right, I want to thank everybody for joining us for the April series of working with the COVID virus. I hope this has been beneficial, that you guys have learned a lot. You all will be receiving a follow-up email with a link to all of these recordings, and then you'll be able to watch those in depth at your own time. If you have any further questions, now's the time to do it. And if not, I want everybody to be safe, stay positive, stay healthy, and we'll see everybody on another webinar. Thanks everybody for joining us.